Hey, have you ever struggled losing weight and blamed yourself? This is sadly all too common, and yet the question is it really your fault? I don't believe it is, and in this video, I'm going to show you several reasons why I think that. I'm also going to show you how easy it can be to drop the weight and keep it off long term. The biggest reasons why we're not able to maintain our weight loss, why we experience that yo-yo phenomenon, where we drop the weight only to gain it back again, is because of the belly fat, also called visceral fat. Most of us don't understand how belly fat keeps us fat, and I want to share with you the science behind how this works. All right, so here's what happens. In our lives, when we're struggling with this excess belly fat, we experience a trigger, and this trigger is different for each person. It might be menopause, it might be pregnancy, it might be for men, a big relationship change, some kind of stressor. And after you go through this trigger, your body starts to change, and you can eat the same way you did of the past, but now it results in weight gain instead. And you're thinking to yourself, what the heck is going on? It doesn't make sense. I'm eating the same way, but I'm starting to put on this fat. And over time, this fat specifically fills in the belly, and this belly fat, it's called visceral fat. And it fills up in the organs, it wraps around the organs, and it acts like a straitjacket, if you can believe that. And this fat, it gets in there and it starts to grow blood vessels, it gets its own oxygen supply, and it starts to secrete its own hormones. So this fat isn't the stuff that you can pinch, you can't melt it, freeze it, sculpt it off, because it's deep down in the organs. If we took a slice of your liver, for example, it looked like one of those Kobe beef steaks. That marbling, I know, it's crazy. And so this fat, it gets up in there, it gets its own oxygen supply, and now it starts to secrete hormones. I want you to imagine that this fat mass in the belly, it's active, and all it wants to do is get fatter as fast as possible. So it's in there secreting hormones that make you hungry, that make you crave, and there is no willpower in the world that's going to overcome those cravings. It slows your metabolism, so you really don't have to eat much. You could just look at a piece of pizza and a beer and gain fat. And it makes you lazy, because the last thing this fat mass wants you to do is go expend a ton of calories. So here, you know you're not a lazy person, but you're sitting on the couch not feeling like you want to do anything. You don't have to eat very much, and you have crazy cravings. So I just want you to understand that this is this fat mass, and it is hungry, and all it wants to do is get fatter and fatter. This is not a flaw in personality, a lack of willpower, poor discipline. It's not your fault at all. It's all hormonally driven by this active fat mass that's deep down in the belly. This is 5 pounds of fat, if you can believe it. Isn't that crazy? And it fills up the organs, wraps around them, and it's very active, and all it wants to do is grow. It's because of the visceral fat, this belly fat, why we often drop weight only to regain it. So a lot of people, they'll only drop a portion of this excess fat weight and not fully collapse it. So I want you to think that if you only drop a portion of this excess hungry fat mass that's in your belly, it's like shaving the top off of a weed and leaving the root. You know what's going to happen if you don't pull out the root, and the same thing happens with your weight. So if you've ever dropped weight in the past only to regain it, it's most likely because you didn't fully collapse that active fat mass that's in the belly. So in order to achieve this optimal weight, there are 4 more steps that I want you to consider. So step number 1 is eat the right fuel. It's really not about eating everything in moderation. I swear, eating in moderation was coined by someone who was naturally lean. Eating everything in moderation doesn't work for most people, especially when this belly fat is in control. So really, it's about figuring out what you need to eat that quiets the hunger and quiets the cravings. Step 2 is I want you to focus on you as a whole person. It's not just about the food, it's also about how you think and how you feel. Make sure you're tackling the mental and emotional aspects associated with letting this excess fat weight go. This is why weight loss can't just be about the food. It's why quick, fad diets, shakes and pills and hormones, injections just don't work in the long term. Number 3 is breaking food addictions. And I talk more about this in my book, 5 Steps to Reset the Scale. And if you look below, you can get it for free. Talk a lot about how it's okay to say no to certain foods. This isn't deprivation, it isn't restriction. Saying no to the foods that don't love you back is a form of self-respect. Once we can heal your body, then we can talk about finding really great balance. Number 4 is I want to make sure that you have long-term maintenance support. It's one thing to drop the weight, it's a whole nother thing to keep it off for good. I have a client, Bobby, and she came in to see me about 4 years ago. She's 60 years old and she wanted to let go of about 30 pounds. She was hitting retirement. She just was tired of not feeling good in her body and wanted to fit in whatever clothes she wanted to wear. She dropped those 30 pounds within about 12, 14 weeks or so, but she was really anxious about what was gonna happen after that. How was she gonna keep the weight off for good? Maintenance support is so important to me that at PhD we offer it for free. So she would come in every week for quite some time, just checking in, bringing recipes, making sure that she was doing well. And you know what? She continued to drop quite a bit more, maybe 8, 10 pounds more during maintenance as the body was shedding this active belly fat. And now 4 years later, she comes in every month, checks in, and she's maintaining 4 years later within about 1 to 2 pounds or so. Bobby keeps coming in to see us because community is so important to her, and it's really important to a lot of our clients. There's statistics that show that people who have community, who keep checking in, who have a support system, see much better success. Because community is so important, that's what I want to provide you here. So click below and subscribe to my channel, because every week I'm going to be putting out content like this to support you in your weight loss, health, and lifestyle goals.